Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Log Show here on WSJU and here on YouTube. If you are tuning in to the live stream, how are you guys doing today? And we had a great weekend here in sports. If you are a New York Yankees fan, at least if you're a Mets fan, I do understand that the weekend was a little bit more rough, but I think I've seen all the sentiments online that Mets fans would agree with, and that is the fact that they could not be prouder of the team of the way that team performed this year in the playoffs. Congratulations to them on the season that they had, even though it may not have ended the way that they were hoping. Obviously, every fan has been where the Mets fans are right now. So all of us understand how you feel, even though me as a Yankee fan, I get to brag a little bit, finally we're back. But, the Mets, I said it multiple times on this show. I said it multiple times before during the playoffs. The Mets was not the team you wanted to face. They were hot. They were hot all playoffs. The Dodgers were able to cool them down. Lucky for them. But nonetheless, the Yankees were able to get a victory. They advanced to the World Series and play the Dodgers. That will start on Friday. We'll talk more about that probably towards the end of the show today. Not only that, on a football sense, we had Devontae Adams and Amari Cooper both debut for new teams on Sunday. Devontae Adams up there in New York on Sunday night. And then we had Amari Cooper in Buffalo performed pretty well on Sunday as well. Last night we had a doubleheader last night. Sorry, I couldn't get my words there. But we had a doubleheader in football last night that was, one of the games showed absolute excellence out of a quarterback. The other game was on ESPN Plus only, and I was not able to watch that game, which was the Arizona versus Chargers game. I was busy watching other film today, so I did not get my full grasp, I'll be honest, on what happened last night between those two teams, even though Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals do end up getting the victory. Last night, we saw in that game in Baltimore, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry proving to be this deadly duo. Lamar Jackson is really trying to, and really is putting up an absolute case for MVP this year. It is extremely, extremely, extremely impressive the way that he has been able to play so far this season. Currently has 1,800 yards, is on track for 4,300 yards. Currently has 1,800 yards through the air. Has 15 touchdowns, my fault, for only 2 interceptions. Has done extremely well. Last night played exceptional. Had 281 in the air with 5 touchdowns against this Buccaneers team. A Buccaneers team that is honestly, they're very good. You know what I mean? This Buccaneers team is not bad at all. And Lamar just went crazy on them last night. Had 238 yards through the air. Had 52 yards on the ground. 5 passing touchdowns, as I said. And a lot of people after last night are putting him in the front runner for MVP. Now, I understand that is obviously going to happen on a Tuesday after a Monday night game where dude has 5 interceptions. You know what I mean? And it's hard for me to act like Lamar Jackson is the only person who had a good week this week, but he is by far actually, I can't even say by far, but I will say that he is probably had the best week this week. Let me break it down. Sorry, I wanted to pull up NFL Plus here just for them to be able to break it down week by week. But, I mean, had the fourth most passing yards this week, led the league, had the most touchdowns this week, didn't throw an interception. Just an absolute masterclass from Lamar last night against, like I said, a Buccaneers team that's pretty good, a defense that has played well all year. The Buccaneers were sitting at before that game. They were sitting at 4-2 going into that game. Both teams were going into that game at 4-2. The Bucs at first in the NFC South. So it's not like this game was gonna should have been easy for Lamar Jackson, and he just went out there and absolutely performed. He's been doing it all year. There was one play I remember earlier this year against, I believe it was against, if I'm remembering correctly, I believe it was against the Cincinnati in Week 3 when they played Cincinnati, or Week 4, whenever that was, like 2-3 weeks ago. And Lamar had this one play. He rolled out, rolled back left, threw it back across his chest to Isaiah Likely, and it was a touchdown. It was on the goal line. And whoever was calling the game, I believe it was Kevin Burkhardt, or it might have not been Kevin and Tom. It might have been whoever's calling the games with Greg Olsen now. I believe it's Ian Eagle. But one of them said on air, Heisman play for an MVP candidate. And I believe like that was it was just put so well and so perfectly where what Lamar is able to do on the football field is absolutely baffling. It's insane. The way that he's able to play, the way that he's able to put stuff together, it's almost video game-like. It's something we've never seen before. Like, yeah, we had Michael Vick. Yeah, we had RG3 where there was hints of this. But, you know, Michael Vick had off-the-field issues that everybody knows about. RG3 got injured. We've yet to see a player like Lamar Jackson that can excel with his feet so well. That's such an attack in the rushing game. And people, you know, want to come in here. They want to criticize Lamar and call him a running back and be like, oh, he can't throw the ball. But that's not true. He's on pace for 4,300 yards this year. You know what I mean? 4,300 yards. Last year he had how many? Last year he had 3,600 yards. 24 touchdowns. Like, he is a good passer, and he's proven it before in his career. Looking at his career stats year by year, back in 2019 he had 36 touchdowns and 3,100 yards. That's his second year in the league. Or technically his second year starting, because, you know, there was the year before. And then his rookie year, he sat all year until the last game. But, you know what I mean? So Lamar has proven that he could be a passer. For all of you that keep doubting it over and over again, because there was a slump in his passing game for a couple of years. But he had 3,600 yards last year, which is not a slouching number by any means. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is very, he's very poised in the pocket. He does very well. He was exactly middle of the league in passing yards, specifically yards last year. He was, what? He was 12th in passing touchdowns last year. You know what I'm saying? But that's because he's so deadly with his legs. That's because he's having 1,000 yards on the ground. You know what I mean? It's because, and like, if you're gonna say that, I don't know, man. I don't like that whole he's a running back sentiment, because he could sling that ball, man. He goes off sometimes in the passing game. He had 5 passing touchdowns last night. You saw it. Last night wasn't an impressive performance with just his legs. But the way he's able to use his legs to create plays in general is insane. Yes, sometimes he's going to tuck it and run when he's that fast, when he's that skillful, when he has a spin move like that, when he's that evasive. You would too. But to say Lamar Jackson's a running back is insane. Because right now this man's winning back-to-back MVPs. If it ended today. If the conversation ended today, he's the MVP frontrunner. Because if you look at who he's competing against after last week, Sam Darnold had a bad week. I'll be honest, he was competing with Sam Darnold. Baker Mayfield was up there. He just outclassed him. You know? As the season goes on, I think Josh Allen will definitely be competitive for an MVP. But it's almost like he doesn't have, like, I don't want to say he doesn't have any other competitors, because obviously, you know, a lot of people have been having a very good year at the quarterback position. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people, there's Geno, who's been playing very well. There's Kirko, who's been putting it together the past couple of weeks. Obviously, you know, C.J. Stroud down there in Houston had a bad couple of weeks, but he's very good. Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, like, Joe Burrow's been able to put it together, even though Cincinnati hasn't. I can't not include Jalen Daniels the way he's been playing. So, like, you know, there's a lot out there, but Lamar is easily the front runner for MVP right now. It's not even close, in my opinion. It is really not even close. The way that man has played, it is impressive. And Eli, I see you in the chat talking about King Henry for MVP. A running back will never win MVP. And don't get me wrong, Derrick Henry has also been absolutely unreal for the Ravens this year. Been so dominant. And what's been so good about him this year is he's been getting going early. Like in Tennessee, you always took him a while to get going. He's been getting going early this year, but I mean he leads the league in rushing yards by 200 yards. He almost has 1,000 yards already through 7 weeks, which is insane. He has 800 rushing yards through 7 weeks. He has 873, so he's 25 rushing yards away from 900. He has 8 touchdowns, which leads the league in rushing touchdowns by. He's tied with Kyron Williams, but the next closest is Kamara at 6. Like, he's been so dominant and so good, I can't deny that. But for a running back to win MVP is just so doubtful in my head. It's so unlikely. I can't see it happening. And Derrick Henry, I'd love to see Derrick Henry win MVP. Honestly, if we're having the conversation for MVP, and I'm saying, and I was talking about Lamar Jackson, his closest front runner is his teammate. Like, the closest front runner to the closest competitor to Lamar Jackson winning MVP is Derrick Henry. Like, this Ravens team is running, man. It's scary. They are a scary machine to run into. And coming up, you know, they come off that win against the Buccaneers. They play this Sunday again. They play in Cleveland, which is a fun divisional game, but, like, that's not going to go well for Cleveland the way that they've been playing this year. You know what I mean? You don't have your bye week until week 14, so you're going to be working for a while here as Cleveland, or as Baltimore. But, like, they've been rolling, man. Started off, we got to remember, too, this team started off 0-2. And right now, I think they might win the Super Bowl. I don't see a team stopping the way that Lamar's rolling, the way that they've been rolling. Especially, you know, they walk into Buffalo on that Sunday night game, and Derrick Henry has almost 200 yards. And then you have that overtime thriller in Cincinnati where Lamar went off and had that competitive game. And those two games together just seem to really put it all together for Baltimore, and they've just been on such a roll lately. It's so impressive the way that Lamar's been able to have it click, and it's just so. I can't wait to see the way that, like, the rest of this week goes, and like, especially with this a lot of receivers becoming available, you know. Apparently, both Deontay Johnson and Adam Thielen are available in Carolina. The news just came out about Cooper Kupp. He's available now in L.A. That's an interesting one. And you can't say, but, like, why not? If I'm Baltimore, go make a move. Well, you wouldn't like Cooper Kupp in this offense? Adam Thielen in this offense? those types of short route receivers to give Lamar another check down? Because now as a linebacker, you can't spy him. Because, you have, what do you call it? You have Rashad Bateman. You have, Zay Flowers. He's questionable right now. But, you know what I mean? He played last night. I don't know if he's gonna play I don't know what his what's up with that questionability, because he did play last night, and I know he was questionable going into the game. I don't remember what the injury was, but Aguilar, you're telling me you wouldn't take Cooper Kupp over Aguilar in that spot? Because Rashad Bateman's is not a big short route receiver. Zay Flowers isn't a big short route guy. You want those guys running deep. That's what they're good at. You give me a short route receiver when you have Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely as well. You know what I mean? You're telling me you can run a set out there. You have Rashad Bateman run a post. You have Cooper Kupp run a little in route. Mark Andrews on a check and release, and then Isaiah Likely on a drag. You have a levels play like that. That set is nasty. That's so hard to defend. And then not only that, you got to worry about Derrick Henry. That team is dangerous, man. This Ravens team is going to be absolutely dangerous, man, as this season goes on. And like I said, they just played their tough stretch. They went to Buffalo. They proved that and won. Handedly, too. Or that was at home. I apologize. They went to Cincinnati. Won a tough-fought game in Cincinnati. They played Sunday night last week against Washington, or maybe that was in the afternoon. That was a 4:15 game. But they played against Sunday against a good Washington team that was putting stuff together so far this year. They beat them. Tampa Bay, who was 4-2, same record as them going into the game. They dominated all night last night. The whole night last night. You have Derrick Henry having over 160 yards rushing. I thought Saquon was going to lead the run. I thought Saquon was going to be the only person to top 150 this week, because topping 150 on the ground is insane. And Saquon was in a revenge game. Derrick Henry said, "Hold my beer." Got 169. Me oh my, man. Absolutely. Just so impressive out of this Ravens team. But moving on that, because I brought him up. So, news did break today. I believe it was Schefter who was the first one to break the news that Cooper Kupp he's not on the trade block, but he's available for trade, which I find super duper interesting. Cooper Kupp had one of the greatest seasons we had ever seen back in 2021 when he became the fourth player ever to win the Triple Crown. He was 2021 Offensive Player of the Year. Obviously, former Super Bowl MVP of the year they won when they won Super Bowl 56. Just absolutely one of the greatest seasons we ever saw back in 2021. Broke the record for most receptions in a season, including playoffs. Broke the record for most receiving yards in a season, including playoffs, with 2,425 yards back in 2021, including the playoffs. 178 receptions, including playoffs that year. Had 33 receptions in the postseason, which was a postseason record. Like I said, was the fourth player ever to win a Triple Crown. Cooper Kupp back in the 2019 and 2021 was something else, man. Was by far the best receiver in the league. Arguably should have won an MVP, people were saying, was putting him up there with that type of Tyreek Hill last year. With just the way he was playing was absolutely unreal. Now, he's been suffering on and off a bunch of injuries since then. Since 2021, has not topped any of those 2021 numbers combined. From 2022 to now combined, has not even touched his 2021 single season numbers. He has 152 receptions since 2021, has only 1,600 yards since 2021, has only 12 touchdowns. When, back in 2021, he was number one in touchdowns with, I believe it was 19. So, just absolute, it sucks to see it with Cooper Kupp. It really is, with what has happened over the past couple of years. Just that injury history that sadly has happened so much. Was out, has only played in 2 games so far this season, and has he has 125 yards, 147 yards, and only a single touchdown so far this year, and only the 2 games that he played to start the season. And it's just like, it sucks to see so much with all these ankle injuries and over the past couple of years when he was so explosive. So does it surprise me to see what happened here with the Rams and giving him the trade? Not really. I don't. It doesn't shock me at all. I see it happening. I saw it. I'm not surprised. I mean, I didn't see it coming, but I'm not surprised that it came. He's up there in age. He's sitting there now at 31 years old. So it's just like, it's like I say, he's sitting there at 31 years old with everything going on. You got Tutu there, who's been playing pretty well. Obviously, you have Nakua, who's been injured, but he's been playing well. So it's just, like I said, am I surprised that he's up for a trade? No. No. Would I've said this going into week 7, being like, all right, Cooper Kupp's going to come back healthy, and the first thing they're going to say is that, sorry, I blanked there. Did I think after his injury, coming back week 7, like they were hoping, the first thing they'd say is he's available to trade? We're going to look at offers, listen to offers. Now, again, they didn't say he was on the trade block. They didn't say we're definitely trading him. They said he's available. But still, not something I would have put on the bingo card. But again, not necessarily a surprising revelation, like I said, with only 1 touchdown this year, with over the past 3 years not having numbers combined that top his single-season numbers back from 2021, from that record-breaking season that he had. Now, looking at Cooper Kupp's perspective, like I said, there's a lot of wide receivers here in LA. You have Tyler Johnson, who they're hoping to break out. Demarcus Robinson, they're hoping breaks out. Puka Nacua broke out last year. They're hoping he's the same when he comes back from injury. You have Tutu Atwell, who's not a terrible player, who has his games. So, when it comes to Cooper Kupp, you're in a system where you seem to not be respected as much anymore. When someone like Puka Nacua stepped into that system, stepped into that spot, and played just as well, if not better, some argued it was very shocking to many, but it seemed to be the end of Cooper Kupp there for many people. At least in my head, it was, sadly. But if you're looking at this as Cooper Kupp, and you're not completely sitting here against a trade, you do have a couple good situations you could look at. Kansas City, obviously you have no Rashee Rice for the year. You haven't picked up a receiver. You missed out on Cooper. You missed out on Devontae. So I think Cooper Kupp could fit great into a Kansas City offense. You look at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's been looking at wide receiver. They've been active in every wide receiver trade over the past couple weeks, over the past year or so. So they've been active in this. So I could see them definitely pursuing Cooper Kupp again in that offense with George Pickens, with the number 1 already there. The attention off of Cooper Kupp, I think, could just be absolutely unreal. The Saints need a wide receiver. They're riddled with injuries, as well as Tampa Bay. We were just talking about Tampa Bay. You sadly had the Chris Godwin injury, which was so sad to see at the end of that game, down 10 with 40 seconds left. Looks like something like an Achilles, or I think it came out it was like an ACL, PCL. So it sucks for him. Speedy recovery for Chris Godwin, but you saw a clip. There was one that went viral that looked like he mouthed, "This might be the end of my career," which I don't. Like I said, prayers up to Chris Godwin, but with that injury, Tampa Bay now looking for another wide receiver. So you have a lot of interesting situations here for Cooper Kupp and what could happen going forward if the Rams trade him. You have a lot of interesting landing spots. Like I said, you have Kansas City in the other conference. You have Tampa Bay, who now needs a wide receiver. You have the New Orleans Saints, who have been looking for a wide receiver after their struggles so far this year and their injuries with now to Olave and Shaheed out for the year, and what that puts forward for them. You have Pittsburgh, who, like I said, has been on top of everything so far this year. They've been on top of all these wide receiver trades. They were in the Devontae Adams talks. They were in the Amari Cooper talks. They were on top of wide receiver talks all off season. So obviously there's a landing spot. And then, like I said, I feel like the most blaring landing spot for a player like Cooper Kupp is Kansas City. It's a player who he's not a Tyreek Hill, so maybe he doesn't fit necessarily what they have had in star wide receivers. The argument would be, is Cooper Kupp, one, still a star wide receiver, and two, you have this situation where, well, the Saints might not pursue it because they just signed Marcus Valdes-Scantling, so they just brought a wide receiver into the building. And if you're Kansas City, you know that Cooper Kupp is a extremely high IQ football player. I think everybody knows that Cooper Kupp is an extremely good football player, an extremely high IQ football player, very good route runner, very good getting off the line. And the technical side of football, he's very good at what he does. So being able to now, let me just say, going into an offense with Mahomes, who has gotten so much smarter on the football field over the past couple of years, going into a Andy Reid offense, I think could just be so absolutely deadly. If I'm Kansas City, that's where I want to go with it. If I'm Kansas City, I think I could take Cooper Kupp and have him fit into my offense very well. I think, and I know it's not traditional to what a lot of people are used to seeing out of Kansas City, because a lot of people are used to seeing the Xavier Worthies, who's he's still healthy, but the Rashee Rices, the Tyreek Hills, these fast players. But Cooper Kupp is a very high IQ player who could learn an offense fast. You could do a lot of weird things with them in the short game to get Pat Mahomes a quick, easy route, to have Kelsey maybe do it. I mean, Kelsey could do more Kelsey things in that offense. If you have Cooper Kupp getting open on these, these technical ins, these drags, these up and outs, these types of routes that he excelled at in LA in that 2021 season, 2019 to 2021. You could look at that and you could go, all right, that only gives more room for Travis Kelce, because Travis Kelce can now run stuff a little deeper. He could run up the seam a little more, and instead of running a route that he knows is just going to get open, he can maybe try to read the defense a little more, like we've seen when they have Tyreek Hill, when they have these excellent wide receivers, and get open deeper down the field instead of these quick routes for just first downs. He could get these 27-yard, how is he open in the middle of the field like that, receptions that he's so good at. So I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of landing spots. And this is a wide receiver that I think is going to get a lot of respect across the league. Do I know what he's worth exactly? I don't know. I mean, Amari Cooper went for a third-round pick. So I'd say, based off what we've seen out of Cooper Kupp over the past 3 seasons, he's not crazy valuable. You could probably get him for a 4 or 5, which puts, I think, a lot of teams in the running for him. I think they're going to shoot for a 3 to start, but I don't know if you're going to get that if you're LA. So I don't know. a lot of interesting situations. A lot of interesting situations. But there is a wide receiver here in New York who did just get traded, and his name is Davante Adams. And the Jets did play on Sunday. And that was a fun situation to look at, I think everybody saw. The Jets lose again on Sunday to the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday night. Now, that one was an interesting one. Watching that game go down, watching how all of that happened. Davante Adams had 9 receptions, which was tied for the second most he had this year. He was tied for the most on the team on Sunday night. Only had 3 receptions. Only had 30 yards. Now, I did watch the film yesterday. I rewatched it literally about an hour ago when I went before I went live today. And now the one main thing I did see, and I will be completely honest with you, in the film was Davante was able to get open, but Aaron was not able to find him. I mean, he ran. He played almost every offensive snap. He played 55 of the 57 snaps on Sunday. But like I said, he only had 30 yards. And I don't know. As much as I've been an Aaron Rodgers fan with this Jets team sitting at 2-5, watching them week after week, watching film on the Jets week after week, when they get Davante Adams now, when they have this, all these arguments with Aaron and this and that, and I'm not impressed by Aaron Rodgers' play at all. I'm actually quite disappointed, if I'm going to sit here and be honest. I'm actually disappointed with how Aaron Rodgers plays football so far this year. He had 2 interceptions last night, which was on Sunday night. Did not play well at all. Has not played well, actually, if we're being completely honest, has not played that well so far this year. He's played okay. He's played extremely mediocre. But to say that he played well is I would say, if he was playing well, I feel like his team would be winning more. They're not winning close games. And if you're not winning close games, that to me feels like your quarterback's only playing mediocre. I mean, proof of that goes in the QBR. A lot of people don't trust the QBR. A lot of people don't love quarterback or passer rating. Sorry, not QBR, passer rating. A lot of people don't love passer rating, even though it's a stat that's been around for a while. And for those of you that don't know, passing rating in the NFL is a player's passing rating in the NFL is a way that they perform. Is like they measure that. It's how they measure a player's performance. Is the best way to put it. I was Googling it to see if there was a more specific set of words to say, but no, it's written down literally in all stat books as just a way to analyze and assess and rate statistically, because everyone loves numbers. Obviously, the eye test shows most of what you see on a QBR, but it's to rate how a QB performs in a game, and it goes into everything goes into it. The amount of interceptions, completion percentage, drop percentage by wide receivers, all that goes into it. Aaron Rodgers over this year has only had a QBR over 75 twice. Against the Broncos, it was 72. Last week against the Steelers, it was 70. And against the Vikings in London, when Salah got fired after that, it was a 54. He has not played well. Aaron Rodgers currently has sorry, I drew a blank there. But as I was saying, Aaron Rodgers currently has 10 interceptions on the year. Aaron Rodgers in his entire career. I think the most he's thrown in interceptions is like 8. Aaron Rodgers is not an interception thrower. The most he threw in his career in interceptions was back in 2008. He threw 13. Now in 2022, he threw 12. In his last year in Green Bay, he threw 12. So the trend is showing here with Aaron that it's going down. You know what I mean? Now, I don't know, man. I've been such a big Aaron supporter, and I was so ride or die after that 2021 season when he threw those 12 interceptions I was just talking about. When Green Bay didn't make the playoffs and it was his last year there, and through that whole off season, I remember there's so many clips of it of just me going off, trying to dunk on Gunther Kuntz up there and Mark Murphy up there in Green Bay. But the trend that Aaron Rodgers is going on since 2022 is only down. He looks so much worse than he did in 2022, back in his last season in Green Bay. Now, last year he got his Achilles injury, so now he's coming off that Achilles injury. And it's really, I don't want to say it's showing, but he's not as mobile. So he's getting sacked a lot. He's not as mobile. He's not finding his receiver. He's finding his receivers, but he's not getting the ball there as well. Now, don't get me wrong. Now Aaron Rodgers every once in a while has thrown a pass this year where he reminds you that he's Aaron Rodgers, that he squeezes this in this tight spot, and it's this beautiful arcing ball that just goes right into the receiver's hands, right over the defender's fingertips. He's had a couple of those this year, but he's had so many more just ugly throws and bad passes and bad tips by, you know what I mean? Throws getting swatted by D linemen and balls thrown at receivers' feet, and just so many things go downhill for him so far this year that, yes, Davante Adams' performance was not impressive in that game. But I don't know if the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, at this point now looking at it, I don't know if the Jets and this Jets fandom is going to end up with the Aaron Rodgers that they were all hoping for. You're sitting here 2-5, and he's really not playing well. He's not at all. There's been few plays to impress me, but there's not been a full game yet of Aaron Rodgers that has sat there and impressed me. There's not been a full game of Aaron that has sat there and I've been like, masterclass Aaron, that's classic Rodgers right there. Not at all. It's all just fallen off, in my opinion. It's tough to look at. It is. I don't know. We had a lot happen last Sunday, though. I do want to start talking. There's a lot of sports, so I'm not really doing a full recap of last week. I think I might do one, I don't know. Probably not this week, but with the UFC fight and everything this weekend, I check out for the YouTube page on Sunday night, Monday. I might do like a 10-minute run-through if anybody's seen King of the Fourth Quarter. For those of you listening on radio, those of you listening to the live stream, if you've seen something like him, how he does his rundown of games, I think I might start doing stuff like that on like a Monday morning quarterback type of deal, Sunday night as a YouTube video. So start looking in for that because obviously with everything going on this time of year with the World Series, with NBA getting started tonight, NHL, UFC gets really going in the winter. They start having a lot of events during this time of year. I only have so much I could talk about. I only have an hour here on the air. So I do want to start posting YouTube videos to get the full football coverage and the full coverage that I want to get for you guys out there on my social media pages, including TikTok, stuff like that. So please, everyone, tune into those. So I do want to move on from football right now and really talk about a little preview about the World Series we have coming up. I think it's a fun World Series. I mean, a lot of people did really want this this Mets-Yankees World Series. I think a lot of people rooted for it in their hearts. New York, I know, wanted it in their hearts. New Jersey wanted it in their hearts. Where you know, a lot of people wanted that series. A lot of people were interested to see it happen, and it didn't happen. And I spoke about it before earlier. As a Yankee fan, I said this the whole time. I go, we don't want to play the Mets in the World Series. The Mets are scary, man. If the Mets made the World Series, especially after being down 3-1, that team was not going to be stopped at all. But they were. They were stopped by the Dodgers in 6. And now that Mets team was electric, and I don't have a bunch of stats on them. I didn't do a bunch of research on them. I wasn't really expecting to talk about them. But like I said again, as just a fan of sports, I'd shout out to that Mets team. Mets fans, don't be... I'm going to say a cliche here for Mets fans and my whole Yankee garp while we're in the World Series. So, I look like a funny hypocrite here. I look goofy doing this, saying this to Mets fans. But, and because I won't feel this way if the Yankees lose, is why I'm kind of being hypocritical. But Mets fans, you've had a very different year than the Yankees. The Yankees have been on top of the league all year. The Yankees have had their problems over the past couple of years getting to the World Series. I have my issues if the Yankees don't win, as a fan. The Mets, looking at it not as a fan but as a baseball fan, you can't be upset as a Mets fan of the run that team had. That team started off 0-5. That team was under 500 at the All-Star break, and a lot of people thought that was just it for them. Really. Like, I know a lot of people at the All-Star break. I remember I was making fun of Mets fans as a Yankee fan. A lot of people thought that it was over by then. And that team went on a magical run. So as I'm sitting here in my Yankees jersey, my Yankees hat, what my message to Mets fans is be happy that ride happened. Because in sports, rides like that don't happen. And a team took you on a ride that you will remember for the rest of your life. I've been there in other sports. I've been there with the Saints before. And we lost in the NFC Championship. I've been there with the Knicks before. Be happy on the ride that this team brought you on. But now, I'm going to get into the World Series. But now, I'm going to talk about the Yankees on the other half. Because the Yankees here have made the ALCS a couple times over the past couple of years. The Yankees here had a disappointment last year. The Yankees here traded for one of the biggest marquee free agents coming up, and he's been nothing but a stud for us. The Yankees here have had this manager that has been absolutely a puppet for statistics and doing all this stuff. They've had a pitcher, an ace pitcher, who was a beast in the playoffs back in Houston. Be nothing but sure of that in his Yankees career until this year. They've had a player who has now hit 55-plus home runs twice in his career, but can't do it in the playoffs. That's what they've been through. That's what this Yankee team has been through. And now they're playing the Dodgers, and Aaron Judge seems that he might have put a couple things together and learned how to maybe play in the playoffs a little bit. Just a little bit. I won't even give him a lot. I won't even give him good. But he's learned how to play a little bit. You have my man Juan Soto with a clutch gene hitting a home run in the top of the 10th of an extra inning game in a series that was one of the best series, easily the best series of the playoffs so far this year. Juan Soto ends it on excitement for this New York Yankees team. Giancarlo Stanton has 11 RBIs on this playoff run so far. Playoff Giancarlo has been absolutely unreal. Luke Weaver in the playoffs. Yeah, he slipped up one game. I'll give him that. He slipped up. It was about time. It happens. One of the best baseball games I ever watched was that Game 3. But he slipped up. It happens. On Thursday night last week, it happens. It was rough. He slips up. One of the best baseball games I ever watched, though. And now we got one more. We got 4 more wins we got to get. We got one more team we got to get through. And that team is the Los Angeles Dodgers. With a player who also had a legendary season this year in Shohei Ohtani. 50-50 season. The first time ever. First player ever to have 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases. You have Yobushito Yamamoto. Everybody, the talk of him, I thought he was going to be a Yankee. I wanted him to be a Yankee. Now he's playing him in the World Series. The storylines behind this World Series are absolutely auxiliary. There's so much behind this World Series. And just to even put it on a simple note, it's the Dodgers versus the Yankees. When you bring it back, two of the most historic franchises in baseball history. They go back, their history comes back here, right back here to the great city of New York when they were playing across two bridges from each other. And now so much has happened since then. The teams are even in series in the regular season over since 2004, over the past 20 years. It is 11-11 between these two teams. The best hint we have at it was a series back in June where the Dodgers won two out of 3 games against the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. And it all comes down to this. It all comes down to Friday night. Garrett Cole gets the start. Probably Yamamoto for the Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani. Giancarlo Stanton. Stars of the game. And I can't wait, man. I can't wait to watch every game. I've been waiting for the Yankees to return since 2009. I'll never forget sitting in my living room watching Game 6 and Game 7 of that World Series with my dad, watching the Yankees win the World Series as a baby, as a 7-year-old little kid, watching the Yankees win the World Series. I had a poster in my room growing up. I still have a Derek Jeter jersey at home. I can't wait for Friday for us to see if we could do it again. And if it doesn't happen, I'll be the first man to tell you to fire Aaron Boone. This team should win this year. The Dodgers are good, don't get me wrong. The Dodgers ain't easy to beat. But this team is good, man. This team is real good. But, hey. Not only that, I need the parade in New York. Because New York is going to be vibing if there's a parade. Because not only is New York going to be vibing if there's a parade, the New York is going to be vibing because Knicks basketball is going to be rolling as well. We got the Yankees in the World Series on Friday, and Knicks basketball tip-off tonight against the Boston Celtics. Man, I'm excited for that too. As the Knicks coming into the season, after making that trade about a month ago for Karl Anthony Towns, getting Julius Randle out of town, which you guys could go back. Go back in my clips. Go back. Look in the streams. For those of you on radio, go back and listen to my streams. I was begging for Randle to be traded for so long. Did I think it would be for Karl Anthony Towns? Never. And now they're playing a very good Celtics team. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, probably both mad after what happened with them in Team USA. Jaylen Brown didn't make it. Jason Tatum got no time. But they have no Porzingis after the foot surgery. And I think the Knicks are in a good spot now with Karl Anthony Towns. You know what I mean? To beat that Celtics team. 110%. I mean, like, realistically, the starting five is you go Jalen at the 1. Mitch is still out, which hurts. But you go Jalen at the 1, Mikal at the 2. You got Josh Hart at the 3, OG at the 4, and Cat at the 5. Now, you also have no Precious Achuya, which hurts. But, like, Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, OG, you know what I mean? Jericho Sims could step up. I didn't know Precious Achuya wasn't playing tonight. Damn. It's going to be a good one, then. It's going to be a good one. No Porzingis. And then no bench to back up Cat for the Knicks, which hurts. But that'll be a good one. I'm excited for that. Knicks basketball tonight, man. I'm excited. The Knicks are good again, baby. I can't wait for Knicks basketball tip-off tonight. I'm excited for this season. We have a stacked team. I am so hyped for the Knicks this year. And then to end the night off tonight, also NBA tip-off, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves going to LA to play the Lakers. That one should be fun too. Obviously, Minnesota was where Cat was, so you're seeing Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, Rudy Gobert, obviously Anthony Edwards play against this Lakers team. Which, well, I mean, I'm going to tune into that game because this could be the first time ever. Obviously, everyone tune in for that. This could be the first time ever that, we see a father-son duo happen on MLB on NBA television. So I'm excited for that. But that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you all for tuning in on the stream on WSJU Radio. I will see all you guys on Thursday. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. Peace out.